bottom line is this: Donald Trump, in office on trade policy, you know, he reminds me of that guy in The Wizard of Oz. You know, when you pull back the curtain, it's a really small dude.
I have a feeling we are not in Washington anymore. Lindsey Graham comparing Donald Trump to the Wizard of Oz. In a Des Moines Register interview, Graham says Trump's immigration plan is gibberish and will undo his campaign. Graham saying, quote, Donald Trump is the almighty Oz in the GOP presidential race right now, but there's really nothing behind the curtain. The more he exposes himself putting forward solutions that are unworkable, the charm begins to fade after a while when you realize there's nothing behind the curtain.
Do not arouse the wrath of the great and powerful Oz. I said come back tomorrow.
If you are really great and powerful, you'll keep your promises.
Do you presume to criticize the great Oz? You ungrateful creatures, think yourselves lucky that I'm giving you audience tomorrow instead of 20 years from now.
Oh.
The great Oz has spoken.
Oh.
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain. The great Oz has spoken.
Who are you?
Oh, I am the great and powerful Wizard of Oz.
You are? I don't believe you.
No, I'm afraid it's true. There's no other wizard except me. You humbug! Yes, it's exactly so. I'm a humbug.
Oh.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. We love you. Thank you very much.
President Trump crossed
the final frontier,
getting beamed up to the White House briefing.
We have a message from a special guest that I'd like to share with you.
Thank you for being with us today.
There he was on the video screens, pre-recorded, reciting benefits from the tax cut.
These great results are just the beginning.
As Sarah Sanders stood by a bit awkwardly.
Do not arouse the wrath of the great and powerful Oz.
So, Mr. Trump, I read in, articles and stuff about how you recovered from some difficult...
Single greatest corporate comeback in U.S. history.
Okay. You've always, Mr. Trump, compared Manhattan to the Emerald City, to the wonderful land of Oz. So does that make you the wizard?
What are you, in high school? Here in Manhattan?
Yes, Mr. Trump, PS 344.
That might just be the best question I've ever been asked. Does that make me the wizard? Well, sure as hell doesn't make me Dorothy. I mean, come on. She's an idiot. She's in Oz, for God's sake. Most magical place. And all she can talk about is going home. Never got it. Never did.
There's Emerald City. Oh, we're almost there at last, at last.
The whiz? What's a whiz?
What's a whiz? Oh, darling, he's the ultimate. The ex-quotient, the new math, the common denominator, the main man, the head honcho. Bottom line, honey, numero uno.
But how do I get to the Emerald City?
Oh, just count your blessings and cut your losses and follow the yellow brick road.
The yellow brick road?
Yeah! The yellow brick road!
Ta-da!
May I welcome you to the Emerald City?
seen in a dream. Would be caught dead, red, cause if you are seen green, it means you got mean red.
An announcement from the great and powerful Oz.
Send up the one with the silver slippers.
Dad, I belong at the center of the world.
I'm not good enough, is that it?
I'd still be working for you, Dad, with you, expanding
You're
your...
taking on Manhattan in the middle of an economic recession.
I don't want to live on the outskirts of the Emerald City, Dad. I don't want to be stuck in the suburbs of Oz.
You belong here.
No, I belong in the city, Dad. I've always belonged. You know, I don't want to be the guy who collects the rent, Dad, okay?
I don't believe it.
Center of the world, Dad. I belong at the center of the world.
I'm not good enough, is that it?
I'd still be working for you, Dad, with you, expanding
You're
your...
taking on Manhattan in the middle of an economic recession.
I don't want to live on the outskirts of the Emerald City, Dad. I don't want to be stuck in the suburbs of Oz.
As we get into this story, I really want to show you the roots of the occult right in the original story of The Wizard of Oz. Many of you might be familiar with the writer of the story. His name is L. Frank Baum, and he was actually a member of the Theosophical Society, which is none other than the teachings of Helena P. Blavatsky. Major New Age teaching, and it seeks to extract the common roots of all religions in order to form a universal doctrine. So he was a big part of this society. And, you know, as we look at this article and see the details as to what he speaks of, there's again a picture of Helena P. Blavatsky, the founder basically of the Theosophical Society, and you'll see that Frank Baum himself really, in his opinion, received divine inspiration, as he would say, for this particular story. He became a member of the Theosophical Society in 1892, and it was in 1890 that The Wizard of Oz was published. And when asked how he got the inspiration, he says that it was pure inspiration. It came to me right out of the blue. I think that sometimes the great author has a message to get across, and he has to use the instrument at hand. I happen to be that medium, and I believe the magic key was given to me to open the doors to sympathy and understanding, joy, peace, and happiness. So that was by Frank Baum himself, the author of the book. And I got to tell you, this great author that he speaks of is not the author of the Bible, the Holy Spirit, Yahweh, Abba Father. It was definitely the other guy, the God of this world, Satan. All right, so interestingly enough, The Wizard of Oz is much appreciated within the Theosophical Society. So, you know, you can see right there that, you know, if the Theosophical Society appreciates this writing, then definitely it is occultic in nature. So, you know, as we keep going in this article to the second page, we'll get more information about the origins of the original story of The Wizard of Oz. And here's a quick refresher. It says the film follows a 12-year-old farm girl, Dorothy Gale, who lives on a Kansas farm with her Auntie Em and Uncle Henry, but dreams of a better place somewhere over the rainbow. After being struck unconscious during a tornado by a window, which has come to lose its frame, Dorothy dreams that she and her dog Toto and the farmhouse are transported to the magical land of Oz. There, the Good Witch of the North advises Dorothy to follow the yellow brick road to the Emerald City and meet the Wizard of Oz, who can return her to Kansas. During her journey, she meets a scarecrow, a tin man, and a cowardly lion who join her, hoping to receive what they lack themselves, which is a brain, a heart, and courage, respectively. All of this is done while also trying to avoid the Wicked Witch of the West and her attempt to get her sister's ruby slippers from Dorothy. So, as we keep going, it says basically, that said above, the entire story of The Wizard of Oz is an allegorical tale of the soul's path to illumination, the yellow brick road. So in Buddhism, an important part of theosophical teaching, the same concept is referred to as the golden path. So you can already see the basically pagan religion already coming here into this story. Okay, then we see Dorothy's then brought to Oz by a giant cyclone spiraling upward, representing the cycles of karma, the cycles of error, and lessons learned. It also represents the theosophical belief in reincarnation, the round of physical births and deaths of a soul until it is fit to become divine. It is also interesting to note that the Yellow Brick Road of Oz begins as an outwardly expanding spiral. So the occult symbolism, the spiral represents the evolving of self, the soul ascending from matter into the spirit world. So major occult symbolism right off the get-go in The Wizard of Oz. In the original, she starts from the beginning of the spiral. And of course, there's more information given on the spiral there. I will leave links to all the articles and information that I show so that you can look into it for yourself. Then before undertaking her journey, Dorothy is given the silver shoes, which represent the silver cord of the mystery schools. Okay, in occult schools, the silver cord is considered to be the link between our material and spiritual self. In Frank Baum's own writing, the silver cord of astral travel would inspire the silver shoes that bestow special powers upon the one who wears them.
Let me take you on a trip around the world and back. And you won't have to move, you just sit still. Now let your mind do the walking, and let my body do the talking. Let me show you the world with my eyes.
So even though they changed the slippers to red just because of the look against the Yellow Brick Road, they were actually meant to be silver. Okay, so during her journey along the Yellow Brick Road, Dorothy encounters Scarecrow, Tin Woodman, and Cowardly Lion, who are respectively searching for a brain, a heart, and courage. Those odd characters embody the qualities needed by the initiates in order to complete their quest for illumination. So you can see that seemingly innocent characters like the Scarecrow, the Tin Woodman, and the Cowardly Lion, who really gave some comedic relief, were actually embodying qualities that are required for illumination in the occult. And according to Blavatsky, it says, "There is no danger that dauntless courage cannot conquer. There is not a trial that a spotless purity cannot pass through. There is no difficulty a strong intellect cannot surmount." So these are all embodied in the Tin Woodman, the Scarecrow, and the Cowardly Lion. And of course, after surmounting many obstacles, the party finally reaches Emerald City in order to meet the wizard. The wizard seems at first to come across as cruel and rude and unwise. They also seem to be making a mockery of the true God of heaven, as they want him to seem like an oppressive figure to keep people in darkness. But it is later discovered that the wizard is a humbug, a charlatan, who scares people into worshiping his wizard. He surely could not help the characters complete their quest. And if you read the mystery schools, this point of view towards Christianity is constantly expressed. So after all is said and done, the brains, the heart, the courage needed to complete Dorothy, Scarecrow, Tinman, and Lion's quest were founded within each one of them, which is something that basically the world teaches, that look within yourself and you will find enlightenment, and you will achieve that. Mystery schools have always taught their students that one must rely on oneself to obtain salvation.
I could feel you guys' energies. I could look at you. I could see you. I can know that this squad is like handpicked and fire, electric, smart, beautiful, lovely, energized, divine. How many people here feel like they have an inner divinity, an inner? Would you raise your hands if you feel like you have an inner divinity? How many people feel like they have an inner God inside of them here? How many people? Is it? Raise
Today a little bit more.
Raise your hand if you don't feel like you have God inside of you. Why don't you feel like you have God inside you? Interesting. So it feels like if you say that you're divine and you have God inside you, that. What would you feel that we have God inside of us? So I could adjust that statement. How many people feel that we have God inside of us? How many people are more focused on saying, is God inside of you as a singular, or God inside of us as a collective? Which side are we on?
First. I like the collective.
You guys like the collective idea?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that better too. We like that better. We, not me. So we've been playing this dictionary game. I'm sure there's some people here that have seen it, right? So what we do is we go and highlight what the positive words are.
Positive thinking works wonders.
To understand President Trump, you need to know all about Dr. Norman Vincent Peale. The pastor is well known for his massive best-selling book, The Power of Positive Thinking. His messages from the pulpit reflected the same theme.
He can make you think differently, no longer negatively defeated, but positive, hopeful, optimistic, victorious.
For 50 years, Peale was pastor of Marble Collegiate Church in New York. For many years, Trump's parents sat in the pews listening, and so did a young Donald. The message of positivity began to take hold.
One reason that the positive thinker gets positive results is he is not afraid of a problem. As a matter of fact, he finds problems exciting. He likes to take a tough, knotty problem and rip it apart and put it together again in the right manner.
With a father who preached much the same philosophy, Trump became sold on it. His father, Fred, actually became good friends with Peale, and the pastor married Trump and his first wife, Ivana. Decades later, Trump told Psychology Today magazine, quote, "I'm a cautious optimist, but also a firm believer in the power of being positive. I think that helped. I refuse to be sucked into negative thinking on any level, even when the indications weren't great. That was a good lesson because I emerged on a very victorious level. It's a good way to go." And when we interviewed the future president during his run for the presidency, Peale's impact on his life was top of mind.
You know, the greatest speaker I think I've ever witnessed was Dr. Norman Vincent Peale. And he would speak, The Power of Positive Thinking. He would speak so much, and he'd bring it into modern day life. He'd talk about success stories and people that were successful and became alcoholics, and then they conquered it. And I grew up watching that. He wasn't reading and I've had plenty of pastors and ministers that read. It's not the same thing. Norman Vincent Peale would get up and his arms would be flailing. And you hated to leave church because you wanted him to go on further.
Trump's pastor growing up was a 33-degree Mason. And this man's name is Norman Vincent Peale. And he was actually a well-known, quote-unquote, pastor, but he was also the Sovereign Grand Commander of the Scottish Rite Masonry in New York. He grew up a Methodist at first, but then he became part of the Reformed Church in America. Now, Norman Vincent Peale had a big influence because he was also a personal friend of President Richard Nixon. And then when Trump was growing up, Trump actually attended his church. And it's very clear that this man had a huge impact on Trump's spirituality. As a matter of fact, whenever Trump is asked about him, he just gushes over Norman Vincent Peale. And if you remember the famous interview where Trump is plainly asked, do you ask God for forgiveness? Are you a Christian? And what Trump does is he just refers to Norman Vincent Peale.
So we've got people lined up for questions. I just got one more, because you used the word Christian. Have you ever asked God for forgiveness?
That's a tough question. I don't think in terms of, I'm a religious person. Shockingly, because people are so shocked when they find this out, I'm Protestant, I'm Presbyterian, and I go to church and I love God and I love my church. And Norman Vincent Peale, the great Norman Vincent Peale, was my pastor. The Power of Positive Thinking. Everybody's heard of Norman Vincent Peale. He was so great. He would give a sermon you never wanted to leave. Sometimes we have sermons, and every once in a while we think about leaving a little early, right, even though we're Christian. Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, Frank, would give a sermon I'm telling you, I still remember his sermons. It was unbelievable. And what he would do is he'd bring real-life situations, modern-day situations, into the sermon. And you could listen to him all day long. When you left the church, you were disappointed that it was over. He was the greatest guy. And then, you know, he passed away, but he was a great... He wrote The Power of Positive Thinking, which is a great book.
But have you ever asked God for forgiveness?
I'm not sure I have. I just go and try and do a better job from there. I don't think so. I think if I do something wrong, I think I just try and make it right. I don't bring God into that picture. I don't. Now, when I take, you know, when we go in church and when I drink my little wine, which is about the only wine I drink, and have my little cracker, I guess that's a form of asking for forgiveness. And I do that as often as possible because I feel cleansed, okay? But, you know, to me that's important. I do that. But in terms of officially, I could say absolutely, and everybody, I don't think in terms of that. I think in terms of let's go on and let's make it right.
So let's, again, you've gone into it. If I don't ask this question, this audience will be disappointed. Straight question. What is your relationship with God?
Well, I pray. I go to church. Do I do things that are wrong? I guess so. You know, I'm a business person. I really do well at business. I've done great. I've made some of the great deals. I own some of the greatest properties in the world. Am I totally?
Help you do these great deals?
I think God helped me. Personally, I think God helped me. I think, you know, look, God helped me by giving me a certain brain, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. You know, I went through a phenomenal school, the Wharton School of Finance, which is said to be the greatest business school in the world. I did really well there. I was a great student. So, I mean, I was born with a certain intellect that is good for this.
Okay, and even the dog Toto represents her inner voice, her intuition, and they give a further description of that. And as stated above, the fake wizard invites Dorothy into his balloon to go back to Kansas, her final destination. She, however, follows Toto, her intuition, and gets out of the balloon, which represents the empty promises of organized religions. This leads to her ultimate revelation, and with the help of the Good Witch of the North, her divine guide, she finally understands everything she ever wanted could be found in her own backyard. So in order to obtain illumination, Dorothy had to vanquish the wicked witches of the East and the West who were forming an evil horizontal axis, the material world. She was wise and listening to the advice of the Good Witch of the North and South, the vertical axis. So really showing reliance on the New Age, on evil, on witches to basically get the victory. So by the end of the story, Dorothy wakes up in Kansas. She has successfully combined her physical and spiritual life. She is now comfortable being herself again, and despite her family not believing the details of her quest, she can finally say there is no place like home. And basically all the people who are not illuminated are considered ignorant and profane. So to the Luciferian elite, people like us are considered detestable to them, or anyone that is not initiated or illuminated like them.
No way. That's crazy. We landed on the moon!
And they just start making stuff up. Yeah. Like that Neil Armstrong guy. Have you seen him on the talk shows?
Neil Armstrong? You mean the first man to walk on the moon?
Talk about a fish story.
Yeah.
Man, and they're buying it. And they're buying it. And they're buying it. Talk about a fish story. And they're buying it. And they're buying it. Talk about a fish story.
Oh, yeah.
And they're buying it.
I'm getting a read on the flight programming computer.
No. No. No.
Check that again.
He's
Still getting a rent? No.
Just taking a look at this 2010 Seat and Mattress commercial of Donald Trump. Again, I always talk about mockery. Here is another example with the reference of 9/11. You have these sheep on these pillars, of course, the twin pillars representing Freemasonry. Of course, you see the 9 in 11 in the mockery of the sheep themselves. Completely ridiculous. How people, again, can't see what's taking place. How these people love to mock. And if you try to explain this to people that believe the official story of 9/11, again, that it was done by Muslim terrorists, of course, they'll rationalize it in their own mind. You know, a lot of atheists believe what they see in the media. They don't believe in God, so media is their God. These politicians are their God. They believe everything is just a coincidence. This world was created by a coincidence, and everything after that is a coincidence. Give me a break. I'll play this commercial in its entirety so people can see what's taking place.
So what do you think of my Trump Home mattress collection by Serta? Finally, the same luxury and comfort I demand in my hotels.
Oh, they'll never count sheep again.
Listen, why don't you come work for me?
What do you have in mind?
Something you were born to do.
Welcome to room 9.
Looking good, number 9. Looking good.
Where's your dignity?
Save now on this Trump Home Luxury Suites mattress during the Serta Luxury Suite Savings Event, now through Labor Day.
Just taking a look at this 2010 Seat and Mattress commercial of Donald Trump. Again, I always talk about mockery. Here is another example with the reference of 9/11. You have these sheep on these pillars, of course, the twin pillars representing Freemasonry. Of course, you see the 9 in 11 in the mockery of the sheep themselves. Completely ridiculous. How people, again, can't see what's taking place. How these people love to mock. And if you try to explain this to people that believe the official story of 9/11, again, that it was done by Muslim terrorists, of course, they'll rationalize it in their own mind. You know, a lot of atheists believe what they see in the media. They don't believe in God, so media is their God. These politicians are their God. They believe everything is just a coincidence. This world was created by a coincidence, and everything after that is a coincidence. Give me a break.
Vigilant Citizen also makes a point of showing how the Wizard of Oz uses basically monarch mind control in the movie. They show a relationship between Dorothy and her dog as a very subtle connection between the satanic cult's use of animals. Monarch child slave will be allowed to bond with a pet, but the child will want to bond with a pet anyway because people are terrifying to it by this point, and the pet is killed to traumatize the child. Monarch slaves are taught to follow the yellow brick road. No matter what fearful things lie ahead, the monarch slave must follow the yellow brick road which is set out for them by their master. Then even the rainbow, with its 7 colors, has long had the occult significance of being a great spiritual hypnotic device. And then Dorothy is looking for a place where there's no trouble, a place which is a place over the rainbow. To escape pain, the altars must go over the rainbow. This is basically even a reference in Alice in Wonderland programming to going through the looking glass.
Alice Through the Looking Glass came out, and it seems a really popular one from Disney. I've had a few people send it to me, and it's well worth checking out here because, as per usual, it's full of the typical Luciferian propaganda. So let's firstly take a look at the subliminal meaning behind the prospect of Alice in Wonderland.
She will come back home to Wonderland and turn back the hands of time. darkest hour. Before my final rhyme, she will come back home to Wonderland and turn back the hands of time.
Please, we really need you. I'm just here about the portal. Only the chosen one can align the fates and save the 12 lands from the forces of darkness.
When the clock strikes heavy and there's no time for tea, in our darkest hour,
Stop to war, so they say. Close in the door, they say. They say she's the chosen one.
Peculiar place to have a party.
Once you realise that these stories, like Alice in Wonderland, are actually allegories of Luciferian principles, made more digestible to the public by the use of cute fairy tales, do we start to understand more of the language that they're trying to convey. And this is exactly why the Large Hadron Collider at CERN has got an instrument called Alice, because it represents the light going through the tunnel. And it's no different with these movies. And what we're seeing today is a huge increase in this Luciferian propaganda. Alice through the looking glass. Well, through the looking glass means to be on the other side of the mirror, which means in a different realm or a different dimension. So Alice is playing that false Christ figure here, the false light. Let's have a look at the trailer first together, then expose what is being subliminally pushed.
You've been gone too long, Alice. There are matters which might benefit from your attention. Friends cannot be neglected. Hurry.
when the day becomes the night, and the sky becomes the sea, when the clock strikes heavy, and there's no time for tea, and in our darkest hour, before my final rhyme, she will come back home to Wonderland and turn back the hands of time.
Time is a he. He is not someone you want as your enemy. Please, sir, the Hatter is in danger.
Young lady, your time is up. This cannot be good.
Hello, Alice.
I present you with a gift.
Even when we start off this trailer, we've got the whole Disney logo, and the Disney logo itself is the river here, which represents the serpent, and this house, palace, at the end of it. This golden palace. So on the head of the serpent there. And it's all about time because it's ticking away in this logo. Disney 666 in the logo. And so we're already introduced to it being about time. We have the chiming of the bell. The bell tolls. And we see this girl, which is playing that character I've been speaking of.
Gone too long, Alice.
The false light. Following this butterfly, the butterfly represents from the murky to the beautiful, like the rebirth, the rise of the phoenix. And it goes into essentially what is this house. And you're going to see that she performs some kind of fake, false, self-sacrificial thing, which is what the Luciferians believe that Lucifer is.
From your attention.
So it's like following the white rabbit in a way, and it goes through this mirror, which is a portal or a gate. You can see that there's an allusion to water, like the water gate. Friends cannot be neglected. So she's in blue up there, and this Hatter is in red. So it's the two pillars, and it's Lucifer sacrificing itself. And this is like hell, you see here, and she's up in what you would refer to as heaven. So she does it. She goes through the gate. She follows that butterfly, blue butterfly, and takes the plunge. This is exactly what they believe. The Luciferians believe that Lucifer is, you know, self-sacrificial.
Hurry.
It's their version of the Christ. It's the false Christ. So falling down from heaven, much in the same way... What are those squares? That's weird. Much in the same way as we've seen before, we saw in the Panic at the Disco video where he falls down from heaven. They see that, the Luciferians see that as a self-sacrificial thing. It's all twisted. All about time. So listen to what the narrator says now.
Becomes the night.
So when the day becomes the night, it's all everything turning upside down. Black becomes white.
And the sky becomes the sea.
And the sky becomes the sea. So turning everything upside down, swapping darkness for light. We've seen it time and time again where the weather goes mad and we see everything being turned upside down. And that's what he's saying here, when the day becomes night, when the sky becomes the sea, turning everything upside down. Look at Lucifer there, approaching what is a representation of the Tower of Babel, I believe. It's all biblical, but this is their twisted version of it. So the Tower of Babel, the Stargate, you'll see it's all to do with time and time change affecting time.
And the sky becomes the sea. Then the clock.
So there we've got our representation of the clock. This clock has actually got the same design as Big Ben, some sort of flower, geometrical flower in the centre. And I'm not saying that's necessarily anything to that, but we've seen the time, the smashing of time, their rituals pertaining to it often includes this Big Ben, probably because of the GMT, zero, cracking time. Led Zeppelin did it on their album cover.
Then the clock strikes heavy, and there's no time for tea.
That Last Supper reference, and here she goes through the heart of time. Again, all tying into the heart of the earth, and that cracking through the heart of time.
And in our darkest hour, before my final rhyme, she will come back home to Wonderland and turn back the hands of time.
And turn back the hands of time, which we see them representing so many times. If you've been watching this channel before, the reversing of time, possibly to a pre-flood. I don't know exactly what they mean by that, but these are all rituals to do with trying to reverse the prison that they are stuck in. You've got to take some of these things with a pinch of salt because they're not all explicitly biblical, but certainly their belief is that these entities are trapped in Saturn, and it's all to do with breaking time and cracking them out. Of course, CERN as well, and all of that.
Time is not someone you want as your enemy.
So time is a he, again, demonising the masculine side. And this is likely a reference to Saturn there, because it goes the Tower of Babel, Stargate, time change, and then what do we get? We get the single eye symbolism. So there's probably a reference to that.
He is not someone you want as your enemy.
Young lady.
Looks like 1,000 points of light, all Luciferian.
This cannot be good.
The heart of the earth there, you see that? It all ties into the heart of time, the heart of the earth, and cracking them out. through a portal, and that's it. This is the same thing. I mean, I haven't seen the film yet. This trailer's only just come out, but you see there how this is all tying into the same thing. The changing of time, the Luciferian belief system, Lucifer cracking out the false light, cracking them out of the heart of the earth, and all of that.
I present you with a gift.
This is rather sick, actually, because I'm sure some of you can see what that represents right there, the king being beheaded. So this is very blasphemous, and it's also probably a reference to the king's children, for example, the propaganda surrounding Christians, and also in the book of Revelation it tells us that Christians in the end times will be persecuted in like manner.
And even this song, Somewhere Over the Rainbow, is probably the most disassociative song ever written, and is often played in movies during violent or traumatizing events, which was being played also in that movie Face Off. Okay, so the strange effect produced where the violence doesn't seem real anymore is exactly how disassociation works on mind-controlled victims. Okay, we can even see the poppy field that Dorothy falls asleep in could be a reference to the use of heroin that is used to relax and manipulate the victims of mind control. Okay, and so, I mean, I think you can see what is going on here in this story, the original story of The Wizard of Oz. And, you know, The Wizard of Oz's great success confirms America's and the Western world's real spiritual dogma. Written during the 1890s when most Americans were conservative Christians, Baum's story anticipated the population's progressive abandonment of traditional religions and the embrace of a new form of spirituality. Today's New Age movements are gaining many adepts, and even if most of them are total shams, they all claim to be inspired by theosophy. Could such tales have contributed to the spectacular decline of Christianity in the past decades while other movements continue to gain momentum? And I'd have to say an emphatic yes, so we can see a total decline. Even when we talk about the church in previous videos, how it's become such a circus, we can see major decline in Christianity and in the church itself. And many Christians are into the occult, whether they realize it or not. They love Harry Potter, they love things about sorcery, and they think it's fine, and they don't even realize what is going on. And even more scary is that the same author has written so many other children's books, all based on this Oz and, you know, all kinds of, you know, other books that are basically meant for children. And, you know, I would keep my children literally away from these books, and, you know, I would probably advise that to yourself as well. As again, this man is a New Age person that was majorly influenced by Helena Blavatsky and the Theosophical Society. Now, I want to show you those things on the history and occultic origins of the original story of The Wizard of Oz. And, you know, as we get into the new series now, we'll see just how it all ties in together to the occult, and even more in our faces as to what they're showing us. And right in the first scene of the trailer, as we look at some screenshots here and other information from the internet, we'll see Dorothy, you know, standing beside her Auntie M, I presume this is, and right away you can see the rainbow symbolism, just as we spoke about. And we know that God's rainbow is beautiful, but in the occult it means something else, and here it's all about mind control and MK Ultra. And, you know, Dorothy says to Auntie M, I wish there was more. And, you know, to me, these movies and TV shows are trying to get people to search, but to search for the wrong thing. They want them to go after the wrong thing. And as we keep going, we'll see that, you know, she gets into this vehicle, which is a police car, and she arrives in the land of Oz. And of course, it's in a car. And, you know, we have seen this before, where a car seems to be symbolic of a transformation or being taken into an alternate reality. You know, we have seen that so many times. We spoke about, again, another article by the Vigilant Citizen that speaks of Beyonce and her transformation into Sasha Fierce. And of course, in the video, they show her getting into a car. She walks towards, we see Beyonce walking towards a speeding car with Jay-Z in the backseat, and the driver is the entity that already has taken over Jay-Z. And then we see, as we keep looking in this video, we'll see that, you know, Beyonce, who seemingly looks innocent, and she transforms into something totally different. She comes out as this Sasha Fierce character. So this transformation that takes place, and we see again this car symbolism going into a different reality and Back to the Future and so many different movies. We see the same thing, this car being used as a medium or the vehicle to take you into an alternate reality. And so here she is stepping into the reality of a different world. And, shortly after we see, can you spot the occultic spiral and the 666? You got the 6 here, the 6 here, and of course the 6 there. So you've got the 666. And of course, as we spoke about before, the spiral has a lot of meaning in the occult, the rebirth of an age, and, reincarnation and life cycles and all kinds of occultic stuff that this spiral has meaning with. And, we'll see again more programming to accept the return of the giants, which is, really shown in Isaiah 13:3 and many other scriptures, that the mighty ones or giants are coming to fulfill the wrath of God. That is definitely going to happen, just as in the days of Noah. And, as we keep going, we'll see people saying something tore through the sky. There is talk of rebellion, of magic, and then they just happen to flash a picture of the dragon in water being slain. So is he about to be thrown out of heaven? Which to me, again, is a hint to the waters above, the domain of the dragon, the Leviathan, and his fallen angels. We are being shown what is coming, that the dragon is about to be thrown out of heaven and he will be slain one day. But we are being shown this in a very cryptic way. And, then we see Dorothy walking along. I believe she's walking along the yellow brick road. And interestingly, as she walks towards the sun, she sees a person hanging on a cross. And to me, this is major paganism going on here, major sun worship, and the cross of Tammuz being shown. And these are abominations per Ezekiel 8. And if you look at what Ezekiel 8 says, this is showing the abominations in the temple, that Abba Yahweh, God the Father, was so angry with Israel for what they were doing, and he showed Ezekiel just exactly what they were doing right in the temple. He clearly shows him that they were weeping for Tammuz and that they were worshiping the sun. And you can look at this scripture for yourself, but really it clearly shows the abominations of Easter and Christmas, where these things come from, how Easter or Ishtar is all about the weeping for Tammuz, where the practices of Easter come from, and same with the practices of Christmas, the worshiping of the sun, especially right around the winter solstice. So we are being shown right in our faces sun worship. We're seeing the weeping for Tammuz on the pagan cross. So major paganism being shown. And as we keep going, we'll see that she finds the scarecrow on that basically Tammuz cross with the raven symbol. This is something that, again, we're being shown a lot. I think it's also a mockery of Yeshua's true sacrifice for us. But, just as the white dove represents the Holy Spirit, I believe the black raven represents the spirit of Antichrist. And yet again, is something that we have been shown many times. Many of you will remember movies like Hunger Games and even movies like Black Swan that constantly show this raven symbolism, or the raven coming. To me, is a mockery of the Holy Spirit. The white dove or the white bird, the black raven, completely, to me at least, in my opinion, represents the spirit of Antichrist, or the spirit of the devil. Okay, and that is really what we are being shown here.
rising phoenix is one of the oldest occult symbols in history. It's a well-known symbol that represents the sun, rebirth, resurrection, and immortality. It is linked to sun worship and was named a god of Phoenicia by the Phoenicians. Occultists believe that these fiery birds live on one at a time for about 500 years. When the phoenix dies, it is immediately resurrected from its own ashes and continues to live on for another 500 years. Occultists believe that the phoenix is a symbol of Lucifer, who is cast down in flames and will rise again. It is also a symbol of order out of chaos. It is considered to be one of the main symbols for the Illuminati and the Antichrist.
As we keep going, we will see in the next scene, we see that this really doesn't look good. Is something bad about to happen? Is the portal about to open? I find it interesting that it just happens to be a red color. So is the red dragon about to be thrown out? And, you know, right after that, we'll see someone that's basically dressed up all in red. And she says that nothing good ever comes from the sky. So when it does, we send it back to pieces. You know, says the red dragon lady. And another thing of interest is that she happens to be wearing a raven-like a scarf or something around her neck. And, you know, really to me showing that the red dragon is coming with obviously the Antichrist spirit, or the spirit of Antichrist, spirit of the devil, whatever you want to call the raven symbolism. I believe that is what we are being shown, the spirit of Antichrist that is coming. Again, the raven symbolism right there in our faces. And so as we keep going, we see a very interesting scene of now this is Dorothy, who now is in this, you know, red outfit. She was basically looking like herself all of this time, but now she is something else. And to me, this is showing Dorothy's transformation is now complete, just like Beyonce to Sasha Fierce. You know, notice even the 8 walls and the 8 pointed stars on those same walls. You go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you're showing 8 walls. The walls even have, you know, the Star of Ishtar, the 8-pointed star right in them. Notice even the 5 streams swirling around her, which to me could be denoting the 5th age. Notice even how she's standing on an 8-pointed stone here. And again, this number 8, we know in the occult, is the symbol or the number of new beginning. The Star of Ishtar, the Eastern Star, whatever you want to call it, it all represents the new beginning that is coming. And to me, the red outfit screams that she is completely taken over by paganism and by Mystery Babylon. She has literally become the harlot or the whore of Babylon, as is shown in Revelation 17. So, you know, again, depicting Mystery Babylon, this is really what is being shown here, that she's been taken over by paganism, all of these pagan religions, which to me is the key that the devil is using to bring people into his world, into the occult, into all-out paganism. I believe that is why even, you know, many people in the church are celebrating pagan things. They don't even realize what they're doing. They're all under the spell of Circa. And quite interesting, at the Vatican, which to me, I believe, is the center of paganism of the world, Mystery Babylon itself, funny how the Vatican itself is shaped like a key. St. Peter's Basilica with the obelisk and the Star of Ishtar, the Eastern Star right there. You've got the Cross of Tammuz that the Vatican is shaped like, and it goes right over, the road goes right over to a 5-pointed star, Castle St. Angelo, this other church. So literally looks like a whole key. All right, if you look at this map, it pretty much spells it out right for you. The key, you've got the cross, the pagan cross and the sun cross in the middle. the Vatican, St. Peter's Basilica looking like the keyhole, and of course make the road looking like the key itself, with the five-pointed pentagon like church down the road. So really the key, the Vatican, is Mystery Babylon, the key that is being, put onto people. The center of paganism, I believe, is right at the Vatican. I believe all the pagan religions are being headed up by this Vatican. They pretty much promote everything that is being, promoted in this world, promote all the paganism. They accept everything. And I believe that Dorothy, now in the red outfit, is basically showing that she has given herself completely over to paganism. She has become Mystery Babylon. And as we keep going, we'll see that, and I'm quite sure that this person is the Scarecrow, who has now become a man, a warrior, a savior figure, and literally Dorothy is totally in love with him, in love with this Antichrist figure. Remember, he had the raven sitting on him. So, basically spirit of Antichrist is working in this man, if this is the Scarecrow who I believe it to be. And, similar, to sacrilegious work of Da Vinci Code, which was showing Jesus and Mary Magdalene having children, which is complete Antichrist doctrine. So you've got here basically Dorothy representing the Whore of Babylon, the Scarecrow possibly representing Nimrod, the Antichrist, and they are totally in love. It's just like Nimrod and Semiramis, the same kind of love story being told over and over again, that Nimrod and Semiramis, the Antichrist, the beast, and the whore are running this world. And, as we keep going, we see the White Witch says that war is upon us. I believe, tons of these TV shows and movies are trying to push this war propaganda to prepare the masses for what is coming. We can see the Great Green Army of the Wizard and the Emerald City all assembling. And of course, notice the sun god symbolism that is right in your face. And of course, on the pagan cross itself, the cross of Tammuz, and you've got the sun god symbolism right there, just as we were shown in that other article. If you look for yourself on that article of the pagan cross of Tammuz, you will see the sun cross symbolism being explained. And as the White Witch says, a war is upon us, she also says it's going to be a clash of science. So can you see here, human and machine, man and machine getting together, conditioning the masses to modify themselves into human 2.0, really reminds me of movies like Terminator, that we've seen so many times. This movie, first came out in the early 80s. And of course, there was the most recent one, Terminator Genesis, not that long ago. So major predictive programming for the big war that is coming, possibly going to be human cyborgs and, man and machine all morphing together, bringing in the fifth age, all this kind of thing being shown. And of course, we saw the same kind of thing in the show Westworld, which is something I did a video on some time ago. And yet again, more predictive programming for transhumanism, for man and machine morphing together, for people being able to fulfill their fantasies through these machines, and all this kind of stuff being shown in our faces. And so the White Witch says there's a war coming, a war of, a clash of science and magic. So then we see a scene of the Black Witch, and you've got her people in the background, which look to be in some devil trance, and they're dancing around in a very pagan, devilish way. And you can see major duality is about to be shown here. So the battle of science and magic is coming, predictively programming what's coming to this world. First you saw the Black Witch's army, but now you see the White Witch's army. So you've got the black, the white, the major duality, as above, so below, the dark and the light being shown, and this is really showing, a lot of paganism here, a lot of witchcraft. We can see that black magic, according to Wikipedia, is referred to the use of supernatural powers or magic for evil and selfish purposes. It is also referred to as the left-hand path. Black magic is the malicious left-hand counterpart of the benevolent white magic. And of course, white magic is traditionally referred to as a supernatural powers for magic for good and selfless purposes. And so, the black is considered the malicious, or malevolent. The white is considered the benevolent. And this is, again, nothing more than paganism, than Wicca, witchcraft. White magic or black magic, they are both the same, even though they want to be shown as light and dark, but it's really both the same thing, just Satan and Satan all over again. And, as we keep going, we'll see that Dorothy now is able to change into something else. Just as we saw her in the red outfit, she also, also takes on different forms. And what I found really interesting about this is that you see the jewels all over her hand. And to me, that is a direct reference to the luxuries of Mystery Babylon, because the Bible says that, right in Revelation 17, that the woman, meaning the harlot church, was arrayed in purple and scarlet and adorned with gold and precious stones and pearls, having in her hand a golden cup full of the abominations and the filthiness of her fornication. So she is Mystery Babylon the Great, the harlot church, whatever you want to call it. This is being shown right here in our faces. She is adorned with gold and precious jewels and stones. Interestingly enough, how Dorothy happens to be adorned with the very same things. So, clearly showing, to me at least, that this is Mystery Babylon in our faces coming to save the day, as we will see later on. And, again, more predictive programming for the giants. We see this major giant figure coming on the scene, but, guess who is coming to save the day? Good old Dorothy / Mystery Babylon is going to come and save the day. We see her yelling at this thing, and the Wizard of Oz himself says that, are you just a girl from Kansas, or are you more? And of course, Dorothy, there goes Dorothy changing into more to save the day. And you can see again the jewels adorned with gold and precious jewels. And, this is all very obvious when you know the word of Yahweh. This is why it is so important for us as followers of Yeshua, of the Messiah, of the Messianic community. Those of us who are the called out ecclesia, we need to study the word of God, because if we don't, none of these things will make any sense to us. We will just think it's a story. But when you know the word, you can see for yourself what is being shown here. And of course, they just got to flash all that gold and precious stone bling of Mystery Babylon, right? Just as we were shown in Revelation 17, that she is adorned with gold and precious jewels. Mystery Babylon, as they want us to believe in this show, is coming to save the day. And of course, a major burst of energy comes from Dorothy / Mystery Babylon. You got good old one-eye symbolism going on here as well. And to me, this could also be an allusion to CERN collisions and the opening of the pit that is coming, that is coming via or courtesy the Vatican, of course, who just happens to be a key player in this whole paganism that is being promoted all over this world. And it's quite the blast that comes from Dorothy. She's become very powerful because she has given herself over to the dark side. She's given herself over to Mystery Babylon. She has become the whore. She has become the harlot, and she is now very powerful in this world because she has aligned herself with the dark one of this world. And as we keep going, we'll see the lion character from the Wizard of Oz story is also different. You can see that he is not the Lion of Judah. He is more the devouring lion of Satan. Again, not the Lion of Judah, because you can see clearly the 666 symbolism on his face or chin. So really, he is not showing that he is the Lion of Judah. We can see the same kind of symbolism in the monster logo, the 666, or the Vav, 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 which happens to be 6 in the Hebrew language. Again, of course, the pagan sun cross with the circle on the monster logo itself, cross of Tammuz, mark of the beast, all this kind of stuff being shown in our faces. Then, as we keep going, surprise, surprise, we see yet again a water scene, just like we're being shown in so many TV shows and movies. I believe this happens to be the army of the Black Witch in the waters, which could be a reference to the womb of Isis, or the waters above, just as what we spoke about before, the waters above, the second heaven, where the devil, the Leviathan, the dragon, and his fallen angels reside. They want us obsessed with space, which is why there's so much of space programming as well, which is the abode of the devil, which is where he is going to come from and where he will be thrown down from. All right. And, again, we see more darkness being shown here, that Dorothy says there's a darkness here, something wicked. Man, gee, you think, when you see this scene, we got major black magic being done in the forest. To me, this is total Wicca, Mother Earth, Gaia worship here, as these people are lifting their arms up and this person starts levitating off the ground. So major Wicca witchcraft going on in this scene here. And, this is something that is, propagated a lot in the movies, Wicca worship, Gaia worship. And, I find it quite interesting that the 3 witches of this story are shown to be in red, white, and black. Something that we have spoken about many times major New World Order color symbolism happens to be the same colors of the Nazi flag, and of course major New World Order colors that we've seen in Hunger Games and movies like V for Vendetta and many others that show the same color symbolism. So quite interesting that the three witches just happen to have these same colors on them. And of course there has to be a fourth witch, because you know, that would be the wizard himself. All right, he would be the fourth witch, because in Wicca there just happens to be, again, four elements, or each witch represents, one is the north, one is the east, one is the south, and one is the west, which is clearly shown or even told to us in the Wizard of Oz. There's a wicked witch of the west, a witch of the north, a witch of the east, a witch of the south, and of course the north represents the element of earth, the east represents the element of air, the south represents the element of fire, and the west represents the element of water. So clearly this is what we are being shown in this story, whether it was the original one or this remake, and is clearly Wicca programming and basically promoting the agenda of the Wiccans. Okay, so major Wicca programming going on here. And you know, as we keep going, again we see the giants yet again. Isaiah 13:3, the giants are coming to fulfill God's wrath, just as what the Bible says. But even Yeshua himself said in Matthew 24 that just as in the days of Noah, so will the coming of the Son of Man be. Okay, it is clearly being shown to us in so many movies and TV shows, and you know, whatever else, that the giants are coming, that the fallen angels are coming, that the dragon is going to be thrown out, that the beast is coming. This is all being shown to us in our faces like crazy. And you know, as we keep going, we'll see a good one-eye symbolism / CERN, you know, being shown here. Find it funny that this person seems to be falling in this particular scene. Of course, it's really not funny. It looks to me like a hint to, you know, falling into the pit, or the pit is about to be open very, very.
There's a video called Happy at CERN that the folks at the US LHC uploaded to YouTube in November of 2014. It's getting some play because folks are seeing a connection to the Mandela effect. And so they should. You don't have to be Einstein to see this as incriminating evidence and admission that they're responsible. We're not the first ones to give this some attention, but we're going to go deeper into the symbolism, shining more light in the darkness to bring their shadowy agendas into view. Here's the most interesting bit.
If you feel like that's what you want to do, hey, bring me down, can't none bring me down, 'cause love is too high.
All through the video, people are dancing to the song Happy by Pharrell Williams. There's a few flying and spinning stunts with green screen special effects, but this guy in the messy office stands out like a sore thumb. What's going on here? Bottom line, it's a song and dance routine. This song and dance is intended to deceive, to mislead. It's an evasive ploy, a distraction, misdirection. We are happy at CERN. Okay, but look at the other signs. He's got placards hanging around his neck. On number 1, in Mandela. His shirt has math on it, which is a clue. It means do the math, solve the equation. On the wall poster, there's a big piece of a jigsaw puzzle. It means there's a puzzle here, find the pieces and put it together. In the James Bond franchise, the first actor to play the role of Bond was Barry Nelson in 1954. The orange sign says Mandela. Do the math. Barry Nelson plus Mandela equals Barry Nelson Mandela. The phenomena that has become known as the Mandela effect is named for the former president of South Africa, Nelson Mandela. Many people remember that he died in the early 80s when he was in prison. Yet somehow all the evidence suggests that he got out of prison and lived until 2013. This guy is doing his version of the song and dance routine with a sign. We are happy at CERN. The @ symbol is a sign that tells us that they know how to use symbols. He covers his face with it. He gestures with it as his contribution to the song and dance routine. It's providing cover, not so much for his face, but for the real meaning of what's going on. It's not just cover for the scene, and we know this because what's written on the sign tells us that the meaning of the entire video is hidden. and revealed. The guy is playing peekaboo, a game you play with infants. Now you see him, now you don't. Isn't this the way of the Mandela effect? One day it's mirror, mirror on the wall, and the next day it's magic mirror on the wall. Peekaboo. Folks, we're being mocked. See all the piles of paper? Really, who has an office like that? It's part of the set design. Think of how the Mandela effect deals with a collection of memories, like a stack of papers in a collection of documents. Some bound, some unbound. They're in the business of shuffling memories around like documents in big piles. The sight of such a mess and the obvious potential there is for piles to topple over raises stress in many people. This is one of the results of the Mandela effect, which is really stressing a lot of people out. There's more symbols here, and we're going to keep exposing them. But do you see how this is an admission that they're responsible for the effect without them actually coming right out and saying it? Here's a little scene where they're dancing all over and around code 33.
If you feel like happiness is the truth, like happiness is the truth, like happiness is the truth.
The number 33 is a big deal, and not just to the Freemasons. Notice the other emergency vehicle is signaling the mirroring of fire. As above, so below. Fire is one of the 4 elements honored with its watchtower or guardian when a magic circle is cast for the performance of a ritual. As we play through the context of this scene with the firemen, you'll see how this is part of the ritual casting of a magic circle. Witches cast a circle beginning with air, and so we see a man flying through the air. Fire comes next, then water, then the earth, and the circle is cast. They show us one of the circles of the LHC as the magic circle. To show us the water, they do some charades with a group waving their arms, then a woman making a wave. We see big tanks and lots of the color blue. I think they obfuscate the water sequence and extend it because water is a symbol of time, and that's really what they're hiding. Here's a screenshot from 3 minutes and 30 seconds. That's a 33 on the counter. Player 1, Player 2. Do you think we're being played? The video ends a few seconds later. Game over? Is that why they're so happy, because they think it's game over? The score showing is rather one-sided. You have to admit, with the reality of the Mandela effect, it looks like their boast is legit. However, this game over bit they're dancing all over, it ain't over till it's over, and it ain't over yet. There are some other symbols in this commercial that should really speak to you about what's going on here. See this design on the pillow? It's called a mandala. These designs are used for meditative purposes, for attaining altered states of consciousness for the purpose of establishing a connection with the divine, which is to say, entering into communion with demons. Mandala. Think Mandela, like Nelson Mandela and the Mandela effect. This phenomenon that has become known as the Mandela effect has captured a lot of people's attention, but most have no idea really what to make of it. This mandala design on the pillowcase is a message. Let it speak to you in the context. The Mandela effect is a demonstration of the power to turn back time, to manipulate history itself. These sci-fi channel producers are literally magicians who are practicing ritual magic through the embedding of time codes and occult symbols, even a form of time magic. It's about the power to turn back time, which is the whole premise of the commercial. We refer to magic and time magic. This is CERN's deal, which gives homage to the horn god invoked during ceremonial magic. CERN knows. What is the technology behind it? Is it due to the dark matter? Is it due to the counter-rotating fields of energy as the energetic particle beams ring around the ancient temple dedicated to Apollo? Time itself is being toyed with, and this is the game changer. So, they have some way to influence and manipulate present reality. How would such an effect be managed? The historical facts manipulated and even matter itself altered in the past. It's the alchemy of science magic. Manipulating reality is what magicians do. This guy who's covering his eyes with the sign may be some kind of scientist, but he's also practicing the art of deception. Those responsible for the production are adepts in the arts of the master magician's book of lies. The sign with the @ symbol is being moved along a path, pulling it to the side and back to cover his face a few times, then he moves it down. All the while his right hand is held stationary, signaling thumbs up. The relative motion of the hands highlights the contrast. This gesturing signals that he's on the left-hand path, which is to say, following the occult Luciferian way. It also speaks of a knowing that he's not being straight up, that while on one hand he's giving us the impression that it's all good, that this all should have our approval, and that we should be happy like everybody at CERN. But on the other hand, they're really going down the left-hand path, pursuing secret and magical agendas. There is subterfuge. Their activities are subversive. They're cloaked for a reason. Their science is there for the operation of magicians. Instead of dancing around, this guy is just sitting on his butt, keeping it covered. Everyone else is grooving to the beat of Pharrell Williams, pouring their energy into this. It's hard to resist. Magically, this is an energy-raising ritual, and you can be assured that this is being magically harnessed for a specific intention. Did you notice that as soon as the math magician appears, the music changes? This part of the song is known as the bridge. They set this up on purpose to leverage the bridging as part of the occult scheme. After the math magician scene where we're so cleverly not told about the Mandela effect, the bridge continues, and we see a guy spinning around against the backdrop of several scenes at CERN. From one perspective, he's a victim of mind control programming, placed into the happy state, the trance state through ritual sodomy. He's spinning out of control while he's being programmed through space and time. Nothing can hold him down. He's gone over the rainbow, fallen down the rabbit hole. In the context of the Mandela effect, his spinning through space and time is allegorical. His life has been impacted in such a way that he has no more anchor to the past. He's lost his connection to reality because his memory can no longer be trusted. Why the bridge? A bridge is for spanning across to get you from one place to another. Where are they taking us? That's a question that needs to be asked. They're demonstrating that they can take us over a bridge. Where are we going? The song offers a hint in the line, clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. We know what this means. This message is being sent in a lot of ways, and it's getting very familiar. The folks responsible for CERN are illumined, Luciferian. They're going for the big win, to break through the glass ceiling, to use another one of their expressions. Their intention, scientifically and magically, is to break out of the constraints of this mortal coil and this space-time dimension. They're going after the mastery of space and time.
The answer that led those who've been told for so long by so many to be cynical and fearful and doubtful about what we can achieve, to put their hands on the arc of history and bend it once more toward the hope of a better day. To put their hands on the arc of history and bend it once more toward the hope of a better day.
And the clock strikes heavy, and there's no time for tea.
that Last Supper reference, and here she goes through the heart of time, again all tying into the heart of the earth and that cracking through the heart of time.
And in our darkest hour, before my final rhyme, she will come back home to Wonderland and turn back the hands of time.
And turn back the hands of time, which we see them representing so many times. If you've been watching this channel before, the reversing of time, possibly to a pre-flood, I don't know exactly what they mean by that, but these are all rituals to do with trying to reverse the prison that they are stuck in.
To put their hands on the arc of history and bend it once more toward the hope of a better day.
Game over? Is that why they're so happy, because they think it's game over? The score showing is rather one-sided. You have to admit, with the reality of the Mandela effect, it looks like their boast is legit. However, this game over bit they're dancing all over, it ain't over till it's over, and it ain't over yet.
The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist.
I'm a theoretical physicist, and I like to say that I walk in the footsteps of giants like Albert Einstein and Niels Bohr. I'm not a philosopher. However, I am rather dazzled by the fact that many of the basic mysteries that we find in string theory and the theory of everything seem to be mirrored in the Zohar and in the Kabbalah.
As a scholar, the most amazing thing of all is the degree to which modern astrophysics sounds like a Kabbalistic text.
When I first made the correlations between Kabbalah and science, I was stunned.
We do know that Isaac Newton had access to certain mystical texts, certain texts of the Kabbalah.
Well, the Kabbalistic description of creation is coming from a single little point, from a speck, and of having matter form and time and space form all together at the very beginning. This sounds very much to me like the description of the Big Bang.
I couldn't believe that the Kabbalists could derive these truths without really knowing any mathematics or physics.
It is certainly true that in string theory, the number 10 is the dimension of space-time for supersymmetrical string theories, and 26 for bosonic string theories stand out as a requirement of the mathematics.
All the things that could destroy string theory, all the things that do destroy every rival theory to string theory, they are all eliminated in precisely 10 and 26 dimensions. These dimensions are magic. We physicists don't know where these dimensions come from.
The Zohar says those things. It could just have been a lucky guess. I don't know.
The Zohar's notion that light is a realm of no time and no space is quite consistent with special relativity.
What's been stopping it so far are, number one, the lack of a good concept, and I think the Kabbalah is offering that now in the context of modern science. And two, a reticence on the part of both scientists and people in religion to mix the two.
It's rather amazing, this uncanny reflection of some of the most advanced cosmology coming from our satellites, coming from our atom smashers, coming from our blackboards, that are mirrored in the Zohar and ancient Kabbalistic texts.
And those scientists who study quantum physics,
Why do they come to this realization?
At that deepest subnuclear level of our reality, you and I are literally one.
Because they enter a world that has strange rules. Suddenly, one thing can be in two places. Or time and space and movement can be in another shape. And they come to this same thought. Everything depends on the one who perceives it.
Ariana Grande says she turned to the Kabbalah faith after her homosexual brother was rejected by God. The 21-year-old singer shunned her Christian upbringing and the teachings of the Catholic Church because she is super close with her gay brother Frankie, whom we all know now from Big Brother. She says they both found a connection with the offspring of Judaism, Kabbalah, which is famously followed by celebs.
Hollywood couple Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis attended the funeral of a Kabbalah teacher to the stars in Israel on Wednesday.
Ashton Kutcher and his ex-wife Demi Moore were very famous followers of Kabbalah. The two of them, along with Madonna, made those little red wristbands popular in Hollywood. Well, apparently Ashton has now converted Mila Kunis too.
To these classes, they're classes, it's the Kabbalah Learning Center. And basically the Kabbalah is the mystical interpretation of the New Testament.
What is Kabbalah?
Kabbalah is a science. It's not a religion. It has nothing to do with religion. It's a science that helps us understand how the world is built and how it's governed by the upper force of the entire creation.
Is it part of Jewish theology?
It's not a part. It's the basis of all Jewish theology. It's a science that comes to us from Abraham, who discovered it. And through all the generations, it came to us. For thousands of years, it's been hidden. And only recently, say in the last 200 years, it's being revealed.
What I'm going to talk to you about today comes from my heart, from my experience in life, from playing this role as messenger, which I take very seriously, from my efforts to wake up the American people, from my family, from all the letters that I get, from people that I talk to, just like I've talked to many of you here today. I've learned some things, and I think these things need to be passed on to you. I think one of the biggest misconceptions in this country is what this country is all about, who founded it, for what purpose, and most specifically, what it is that we're all looking for. I'm going to try to clarify some of those, and in doing it, as always happens, someone's going to be angry with my definition of some of these things. In the mystery schools, they refer to this mystical time of coming out of the age of innocence as the Luciferian philosophy. I've tried to illuminate you with this for years on my radio broadcast. In the Bible, or in the church, they talk about the fall of man. Same thing. There's only one difference between the Luciferian philosophy and the fall of man, is that those who talk about the fall of man believe in God. Whether or not they believe in a Savior, they believe in God. The ones who believe in the Luciferian philosophy do not. Here's the way they look at it. Here's their metaphor for the end of innocence. Adam and Eve were held prisoner in the Garden of Eden by an unjust, cruel, and vindictive God. Until Lucifer, through his agent Satan, set man free from this garden by giving him the gift of intellect. Through the use of intellect, man will conquer the earth, will conquer nature, and will himself become God. It's taught in every Masonic temple in this land. Every secret brotherhood, every secret society, every mystical temple, every occult organization teaches the Luciferian philosophy. You have to study these things to understand your enemy. Any general who ventures upon a battlefield without understanding the enemy is doomed to defeat. These people learned how to control others through the use of a hidden knowledge. Their whole goal with this philosophy is to teach all men and women that the only end of life is to seek the utmost pleasure and happiness that you can get out of it, because when you die, there's nothing else. That's what they teach.
When I was doing my research for that video, The Copernican Principle, Darwin's Trojan Horse, I was looking for material which would, the symbiotic, the interdependence between evolution and heliocentrism. And one of the resources I came across was the work of a man by the name of Marshall Hall, who was a geocentrist who passed away in 2013, but a large collection of his writings and research is gathered at fixedearth.com. I highly recommend anyone checking that out. So a lot of the things he talked about ended up going into that video, and one of the things that I did come across that I didn't get a chance to include or research at the time was a point that he makes quite a few times about the Kabbalah. And basically he explains how the Kabbalah, prior to Darwin, prior to even the Copernican revolution, not only does Kabbalism, of course, carry with it the idea of a vastly expanding universe full of many different worlds and even the possibility of extraterrestrial life, but the very basic components of cosmic evolution itself, and even the age of the universe, which evolutionists confirm now, was already being taught in Kabbalistic texts back as far as the third century. And Marshall Hall really talks about three particular Kabbalists specifically, one being Isaac Luria, who lived in the 13th century, and then Nachmanides and Maimonides, who are, I believe, in the 1st and 3rd centuries. So I was just fascinated by this idea that the concept of evolution, specifically cosmic evolution, the Big Bang, going so many centuries back. Obviously, I've talked about this a little bit before. Evolution being a spiritual concept that goes back into the Gnosticism of the Greeks and the Babylonians. So it wasn't too shocking, but that they would have so many. It's very specific. It's less vague than some of the other Gnostic concepts of evolution that I've come across. And so, as you can see by the clips before, when I set out to try and confirm the things that Marshall Hall was talking about, it not only was it easy to confirm, but it's pretty amazing that it's not just evolution, but so many of these other concepts of modern astrophysics, quantum physics, string theory, special relativity, all of these, basically everything that you can think of when it comes to theoretical, mathematically modeled, science or scientism, as we would call it. All of these theories, both the Kabbalists and modern physicists like Michio Kaku are sitting here admitting it themselves.
What about Jesus?
And you say there isn't only one way. There is one way and only one way, and that is through Jesus.
There couldn't possibly be with the
Because you
millions of people
say
in the
there
world.
isn't.
It's about a psychotic mass murderer who gets away with it, and his name is God. Genesis says God was so angry with himself for screwing up when he made mankind so flawed that he sent the flood to kill everyone, men, women, children, babies. What kind of tyrant punishes everyone?
The New World Order sends its regards.
For years now, talk show hosts, people on television, people in sitcoms have been hired by the government to throw you off the track, to distract you, to make you laugh and stuff like that, make you happy and docile so you don't know what's really going on. You know, and they get out there in the woods in a circle naked and they decide these things.
Sign effigy, we shall read the sign. Midsummer sets us free.
Had we sold our soul to the devil? How else can you explain us being here on the Genesis?
Yeah, we sell our soul.
I sold my soul to the devil.
I swear to Lucifer, I'm gonna...
Sold my soul to the devil. I know it's a crappy deal. Lisa came with a few toys like a Happy Meal.
Or the pit is about to be open very, very soon. And, you know, then one of the final scenes of this trailer just happens to be Scarecrow saying to Dorothy, only you can stop it. And of course, we see Dorothy starting to transform again with the jewels on her hand into Mystery Babylon. So, you know, we need to realize that, you know, they love to show this darkness and light as if they, you know, one is going to fight the other. And Satan, who loves to show this duality, will definitely not stop himself. Satan will not stop Satan, even though they love to show this light and darkness together. And because the only one who can stop what is going to happen, even though there's going to be all-out destruction, the return of the fallen angels, their offspring, the Nephilim, the dragon being thrown out of heaven, and the beast ruling this world, the only one who can stop this will be the main event, the glorious appearing of King Yeshua himself, right from Revelation 19. And when I read this, I always get tears in my eyes, because this is the best news ever, that Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus Christ the Messiah, is going to come and defeat the dragon and his minions, the fallen angels, the beast, the false prophet. They are going to be utterly destroyed when Yeshua appears in the clouds. And that is exactly what is going to happen, just as Revelation 19 says, and now I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse, and he who sat on him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he judges and makes war. His eyes were like a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns. He had a name written that no one knew except himself. He was clothed in a robe dipped in blood, and his name is the Word of God. Amen. And the armies in heaven, clothed in fine linen, white and clean, followed him on white horses. Now out of his mouth goes a sharp sword, that with it he should strike the nations, and he himself will rule them with a rod of iron. He himself treads the winepress and the fierceness of the wrath of Almighty God. And he has on his robe and on his thigh a name written, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. And later on we'll see that the beast was captured, and with him the false prophet who works signs in his presence. And the same is said in the CJB, the Complete Jewish Bible. So Yeshua HaMashiach, he is the one that is going to destroy this. He is going to destroy the devil, the dragon. He is the one who is going to save the day. Not Dorothy, not Mystery Babylon, not the dragon, not the beast, not his people, not transhumanism, not technology, not this world, not the elite. It is going to be Yeshua HaMashiach. He is the one who is going to destroy the kingdoms of this world. He is the rock cut without hands that is going to bring down the statue, the kingdoms of this world, and grind them to dust, just as Daniel 2 says as well. So always know that the true hope is found in Yeshua, Jesus Christ the Messiah. He is the one that can save us from this world and will set up his eternal kingdom very soon. And, you know, just to give you just a few more insights on this, on the Wizard of Oz, I find it interesting that Oz just happens to mean, in the Hebrew, it means strength. So, you know, does the devil want us to believe that he is the one that has strength, that he is the one that is, you know, going to set up his kingdom forever because he is strong? Also interesting that the color green also just happens to be a big color in the Wiccan religion, that it happens to stand for balance and fertility, growth, Mother Earth, tree and plant magic. So, the devil wants us to think that he is the one that has balance, that he is the one that has strength, and he will bring balance and order, to this world. But that will never happen, because only Yeshua HaMashiach is going to do that. And, just to close off here, I find it also interesting that, the place where the Wizard of Oz dwells just happens to be a place called Emerald City. And of course, the color emerald just happens to be green, a big color in the Wiccan religion, talking about balance and nature worship and strength and all this kind of thing. But, to me, this is a major perversion of the throne room of God as shown in Revelation 4. All right, so when we look at Revelation 4, verses 2 to 3, we see that, and immediately I was in the Spirit, and behold, a throne was set in heaven, and one sat on the throne, and he that sat to look upon, was to look upon like a jasper and a sardius stone, and there was a rainbow about the throne in sight like unto an emerald. Okay, so the devil, who wants to pervert everything, he wants to act like he's on the throne, that this is his throne room, that he's trying to mock and counterfeit the true throne room of God, but he wants to act as if he's on the throne. So interestingly enough, this Emerald City just happens to be, at least in my opinion, a mockery of the true throne room of God, of Yahweh, of Abba, Father. All right, so this is to me what we are being shown in plain sight. And I am shocked as I delved into this trailer and into this movie. I actually had no idea as to what the Wizard of Oz really meant for. And it just goes to show the power of knowledge as we look into these things. The devil loves to hide these things from us and put these messages into our head. But if we look into what we are being shown, we can clearly see the messages that the devil tries to put into our heads. But the true victory is coming, that Yeshua HaMashiach is coming to destroy the kingdoms of this world. And the devil, who wants to act like he is on the throne, he is going to be thrown down very, very soon. And the true God, who will set up his eternal kingdom that is going to last forever and ever. God bless you.
Come on. Forward! Tell me when it's over. Look at that. Look at that. I want to go home. I am Oz, the great and powerful. Who are you? Who are you?
If you please, I am Dorothy, the small and meek. We've come to ask you.
Silence!
Oh, Jiminy Cricket.
The great and powerful Oz knows why you have come. Step forward, Tin Man. You dare to come to me for a heart, do you? You clinking, clanking, clattering collection of colliginous junk?
Yes, sir. Yes, Your Honor. You see, a while back, we were walking down the yellow brick road, and...
Quiet! And you, Scarecrow, have the effrontery to ask for a brain, you billowing bale of bovine fodder?
Yes, Your Honor. I mean, Your Excellency. Your wizardry.
Enough! And you, lion! Well?
You ought to be ashamed of yourself, frightening him like that when he came to you for help.
Silence, whippersnapper! The beneficent Oz has every intention of granting your requests.
What's that?
We are not saying that guns are the only reason that mass shootings continue to occur. We are saying that they factor in, and we are demanding that someone repeat the experiment that so many other countries have carried out and simply see if it yields the same results. Enough is enough!
The floating eye here is variously interpreted. Some people see the work of Freemasons in it. Some people just see this as the divine eye of providence. It's a debate for the ages.
This is the moment Japan's nuclear disaster began. A giant tsunami wave crashes into the Fukushima Daiichi power plant.
So I have just one word for Mr. Trump. Basta. Enough!
What did I tell you? 88 miles per hour! What's the meaning of this?
You'll find out in 30 years!
Days, 6 hours, 42 minutes, 12 seconds. That is when the world will end. Seconds. That is when the world will end.
Basic principles of time travel are there. You got your vessel and your portal. The vessel can be just about anything, most likely a spacecraft.
Like a DeLorean.
Aircraft.
You know, I love that movie, the way they shot it. It's so,
6 hours,
like futuristic, you know?
42 minutes, 12 seconds. That is when the world will end.
I want to be a president of the United States who makes sure that we never again in business. We never again I went down there and talked to the president of Panama about cleaning up their money laundering.
It leads you here, despite your destination, under the Milky Way tonight.
6
Basic principles of time travel are there. You got your vessel and your portal. The vessel can be just about anything, most likely a spacecraft.
Like a DeLorean.
Aircraft.
You know, I love that movie, the way they shot it. It's so, like futuristic, you know?
6 hours, 42 minutes, 12 seconds. That is when the world will end.
And it's something quite peculiar.
28 days,
Something shimmering and
6 hours, 42 minutes,
it leads you here.
12 seconds. That is when the world will end.
Wish I knew what you were looking for. Might have known what you would find. Wish I knew what you were looking for.
Calculations are correct. When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
But a bright line in the sand, and we will protect you, that I can tell you, and we will say enough is enough.